Jack. All right. You got this stuff?
Yeah. All cleaned in oil.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's get it on.
Who are these guys?
It's my theme music. Every good hero should have some.
Hot damn, it's time to get down to the jam. It's time to get down, it's time to get down, it's time to get down to the jam. I said it's time to get down to the knowledge, gonna get on down with the know. On the morning coffee show, on morning coffee with Keith, here on Pop Culture Minefield.
Excuse me, can I get a cup of coffee? Black?
Can't you see we talking? White?
Hello, everyone. I am a park ranger, and I will be leading you on the tour. All of the park rangers here at Alcatraz were at one time guards, myself included. My name is John Johnson, but everyone here calls me Vicky.
The late, great Phil Hartman.
Gosh, man, I miss that man.
Oh. Good morning, everyone, and a good morning to both Martin and look, it's Tiny Keith. What is
man, what's up?
Keith?
I'm also known as I'm on Keith time.
Can't be any blacker than that. Anyway, how we doing? How we doing?
Well,
You know,
are you asking me or the channel chat?
Yeah, everybody.
I'm
doing fine.
Good.
I've got apparently just found this out. I looked it up, and General's Chicken and Ozempic don't go well together. So I've got the sulfur burps today, and it's ridiculous. It's like, have you ever had those, man? Like if you eat too many eggs or something, you get burps and it's all sulfury, and you're like, ew, sour.
Yes.
Ew. And so I'm like, why do I have sulfur burps today? Because like I ate my normal diet. The only thing I did different was I had some General Tso chicken, and it said that apparently, Ozempic and General's Chicken don't mix well. There you go. Now you know the rest of the story.
Where have I heard that before? Anyway, thank you for that, Gary. First of all, speaking of Phil Hartman, that reminds me, since I was last on, we have, I'd also like to call attention to the loss of the great Peter David, who
comics, yeah.
Wow. He really, to those who aren't familiar with comics or a lot of genre novels, Peter David was really one of the big stars of the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. His runs on for Marvel's Hulk, DC's Aquaman, especially his Aquaman run. He was the one that took Aquaman's hand. And,
he made him tough. He made him a badass.
Yeah. Basically, we
Stop being a fish fucker.
and also his work with DC when they got the Star Trek license in the 80s, post Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. His run on that Star Trek book series was fantastic. Given the fact that he was basically operating under a deficit. Basically, for all of you out there who still have not seen the movie, spoilers, Spock dies. So he didn't have the use of Mr. Spock for the cartoon.
I was planning to watch that this weekend.
I know I'm a total a-hole when I just put it out there like that. But also, he's a great author. His original series of books related to nightlife, which again, I'm still surprised no one's turned into a film. It's the ultimate what if book. What if King Arthur came back and ended up running for and winning the right to become the mayor of New York City? Sounds a little weird, but it actually really, really works. And then, of course, again, big Star Trek fan that he was. He actually ended up creating a series of novels, New Frontier, that, in my opinion, shows how CBS messed up. If they were looking for their own Star Trek series and still wanted to retain an audience, they should have adapted the New Frontier books, because you had a brand new kind of captain with a brand new kind of crew, and the adventures they had were definitely not something that you would have seen on Next Gen, Voyager, or even Deep Space Nine. He had a different way of telling stories. And so Captain Mackenzie Calhoun and his crew were just total badasses within the realm of Star Trek. Unfortunately,
I
that
just had
series
a
got
ridiculous name, Calhoun. I'm Captain Calhoun. Get the fuck out of here. Nobody has that name. Kill him. Disintegrate him right now. I cannot take that name. I say, my name's Calhoun. Seriously, who came up with that fucking name? Was that him?
He did. That's all him.
Oh my God, if he wasn't dead, I would mock him openly right now. Calhoun.
But again, it's unfortunate that he's no longer with us. Now, he had been suffering for a few years now with a lot of health problems, and he was definitely on my Latino sled. Thank you, Paulie.
Paulie.
Hey, Paulie. But he was definitely on my list of professionals to meet, and unfortunately, I never got a chance to catch up with him. Just to be able to tell him how much I've enjoyed his work over the years. And again, he was definitely one of those people that really seemed to, in the pages of Wizard magazine, he was one of those stars of the 90s. He was one of those writers that just seemed to really just rock it with the comic book fans. And I think, especially right now, we really need a Peter David within the comic book industry.
The run I really liked him on was because he's the one that did a run of the Incredible Hulk back in the day, right?
Yes, that's what I had started out with, his run on Hulk. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember that.
A lot of people do. He was very good at being able to write and create situations and take characters and not only live up to what they had been in the past, but take them in new directions. You know, you can definitely say when you read one of Peter David's comics, whether you're talking Hulk or even Aquaman, that you were dealing with someone that knew, understood, and was a fan of that character and knew how to communicate that.
I'm sorry. I need to respond to this right now. Hey, man, I haven't told anybody yet. You let the cat out of the bag, Paulie. What the fuck, dude? I love you, but you're an asshole. Ed Gale, that's right. We lost Ed Gale. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Another look. We're losing a lot of talent here, and that's the reason why, for at least people who believe like I do that we got to get this back on track, because a lot of these people don't get celebrated. The people who are currently running things have no earthly idea who these people are. They do not celebrate these people. They do not understand these people, and they do not understand the fact that they also have fans. You know, they are completely oblivious, and that's one of the side reasons why.
That's a problem today. You got people celebrating these unknown writers like Chuck Dixon and Mike Barron. Like, get back and celebrating some of these other more obscure names. Fuck Mike Barron and Chuck Dixon.
You know, Mike Barron and Chuck Dixon, I think the industry would be a lot better off if they were still working for one of the major.
If they were working, and on
comic
top of
book
that,
companies.
if they put Chuck Dixon in charge.
Oh,
I'm
geez.
just telling you, as like a senior editor, I'm telling you, that, you know, if I'm not saying editor in chief, but the senior editor of the writing staff, put Chuck in charge of that shit, you would see so much get better at either Marvel or DC.
Yes. That oh man. But that's part of why I'm doing the Camp Keith, because it helps a lot of you out there, especially those of you under the age of 35, understand that realistically, yeah, a lot of us older people, we had it way better than you do now. This is probably one of the worst periods of fandom in its long history of being associated with the entertainment industry that I've ever seen.
And by the way, let me throw a nitpick in here because you brought up something that's important. Let me tell you something. My main problem with millennials is they keep calling those of us in the X-Gen boomers. This just shows how stupid they are. They don't understand pockets of time, passage, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're X generation. You and I are X-Gen. And then they try that boomer shit on us, and we just fuck with them because we're X generation. We're badass.
Mm-hmm.
We don't take their shit, and we just mock them more mercilessly for it. So
yeah,
continue.
We were the
I
kids.
just wanted to
We were
throw
the
that
last.
in there.
We were the last generation left at home by ourselves comfortably because we weren't dumb enough to actually open up the door to strangers who would like basically, you know, take us away. And if we did get kidnapped, they usually returned us because they couldn't deal with us.
Well, just to make it more clear, Real Popcorn. And by the way, I really like. I talked to him a lot. I'm not assuming your gen, you know, what your gender is. It's just I assume you're male, but you might be female. I don't know. But boomer is the new word for stupid, and how that actually translates when I read that is yes, nothing shows you're stupid more than calling someone a boomer. You just sound like a fucking moron. So there, that's my input on that one. Thank you, Real Popcorn. And he's fun on Twitter. We've been talking. He's going to get us. There's this new comic coming out. It's on Kickstarter right now. Looks great. And the guy reached out to me last night, and thanks to Real Popcorn, to get him on here on your show, so we can interview him and maybe the entire team about their new comic. And Popcorn, what was the name of that comic? I just can't remember right now. But the artwork looks great. See if I can pull it up real quick so I can actually share it with you. There we go. Go to Twitter. I got to go to Twitter. Okay, I'm on Twitter now. Oh no, it's X. Is that like a porn site now? X.
Well, some of those conversations, it might as well be.
That's what. Oh, I feel.
Eastland, I can see how, you know, opinionated, dated writers are hard to deal with. But unfortunately, what you have is an industry that's been taken over by people who don't understand it, who are so new. They're looking beyond the comic industry.
Well, they got their degrees in social activism, so.
Mm-hmm. But also, they're Oh,
from Polly.
It's like it's the cheapest super chat. Good old Hollywood Polly. Hollywood Polly.
Thank you for the super chat, Paulie. Seriously, let me just say, for those of you again who don't follow Paulie Latino Slant, you should. His show is one of the best out there, and I just think the world of the guy. He's definitely someone who can just be entertaining AF.
Wait,
So
Collision Force.
Gary,
is
before
the
you go,
comic.
before you go there, we have to run Polly's video.
Well, do your fucking video.
Thank you, Polly.
When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.
Hello, everyone. I am a park ranger, and I will be leading you on the tour. All of the park rangers here at Alcatraz were at one time guards, myself included. My name is John Johnson, but everyone here calls me Vicky.
So this is the artwork from the comic,
Wow.
and I'm really digging this style. They started their Kickstarter. Or let me go click on that one, and I'll grab the link so Martin, you can actually share that. Look at this artwork, man. Look at this artwork. I'm really digging this. Okay, it's got music, so I'm not going to play it.
Okay.
All right, so private chat, I put it in there for you, Martin. There it is. So we are going to get them on the show. I sent him my personal email because he wants to try to get the whole team to come on this Thursday show right here with you, Keith.
Fantastic. I'd love to have them on because this looks incredible.
Here is their channel. I mean, their page over on Twitter. X marks the spot. There you go. Activates first, will not barge to this character, must or the room must have a window and stars outside. Eastland, have you been sleeping with Yoda again? I'm trying to. What the fuck is that sentence? Activates first, will not barge to his character, must. It's either that or you got into somebody's fentanyl. That makes me nervous.
Wow, collision force looks great. I agree with you about the art.
So the goal is to get him to come on your show here, and I'll join you for that because I couldn't figure out where to put him because like we're always talking about movies on the other show, and your show is the only thing that's about real pop culture. Because you can't join me on the other shows that we do very often, so I don't really want to get into pop culture anymore. I just want to talk about movies or TV shows. I like talking about those. But getting into the comics thing, because I got to tell you, I love comics, but my reign in comics ended in '86, and so I just don't know comics like you do. I know artists and pro writers and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's on a personal level, not on a professional level. Because I hear Mike Barron did some comics at some point, like Punisher or something. I know he did the Badger. The Badger. I heard he did the Badger. And Chuck Dixon, I only found, and met Chuck Dixon because I started reading his SpongeBob comics. I'm trying to find all these new ways to shit on my friends. So
again, I that's really was my end to a lot of fandom, was into pop culture, was comics and a lot of television shows. So comics has always been my big thing. I personally do not care for a lot of the so-called talent that we've seen over the last few years.
Oh my God, it's
of
just awful,
DC.
dude. It's awful.
And a lot of these people just can't. They can't write, and they specifically can't write characters that have been around far longer than many of them have been alive. They almost seem incapable, and from the way they treat these characters, it's to the point where I'm surprised their neighbors probably don't even allow them to borrow anything, lawnmowers or paintbrushes or anything, because these people can't treat things that do not belong to them with any kind of care. And they have to radically change something just to be able to use it, and that's unfortunate, because then it shows that they can't really express themselves. They can't really care for something that doesn't belong to them with enough respect and reverence to be able to entertain the fans and to tell really good creative stories and to leave the character in such a way as to allow someone else to come into that entire thing to take over for them and be able to take it in different places without destroying that character and its legacy. But again, as I was saying before, this is a part of what I am doing with Camp Keith this summer, as a way of taking many of you on a journey to see how all this connects. Today's show is meant to just be kind of like a precursor and to fill a lot of you in on a lot of the things that have happened prior to what we're going to start with next week. The month of June will be all about the 1970s. So let's start with what happened before the 1970s. Basically, what you have are pretty much at the beginning of the 20th century. You have many of you out there probably have never read the book Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And you have to understand that for an entire generation of geeks and nerds, there are certain books that we read. We didn't have the same kind of distractions. We didn't have the same kind of worries, expectations that a lot of fans today have. You know, what we had was whatever we can get our hands on. Libraries were places where you would go to find everything that you really needed, because even comic book shops really weren't plentiful. If you were lucky enough to have a comic book shop in your town, you were doing really well, because that means that you had access to a lot of books that you just could not find at the local drugstore or at the local grocery store. And you had people that worked there that would help direct and or point you to certain books that you might find interesting. So you weren't someone that really read a lot of the comics that Marvel had. You know, not everything Marvel had was something that you could easily find at a drugstore. Not everything DC had you could easily find in a drugstore or a grocery store. So they're the obvious things: Justice League, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Superman, Wonder Woman. Not as easy to find a random issue of Daredevil, Shang-Chi, but you could find things.
Speaking of that, by the way, I wanted to tell you, I just introduced Anima to Daredevil on Netflix, the Netflix series.
Wow! Oh, cool.
And then started showing her all the influences on the show. I showed her Frank Miller's Daredevil, Frank Miller's Elektra series, And I'm telling her, I said, like, you need to read these. These were the best comics.
Mhm.
And they had the biggest impact on me, influence-wise. Frank Miller and Mike Mignola were probably the two 80s artists that had the biggest impact on me.
Are you
'Cause I
going
just-
to get around? Are you going to get around to showing her the original run of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to see how that connects in with Daredevil, or are you just going to wait until later on to introduce her to that?
That's almost too much for her head to handle.
Okay.
Yeah, I know my woman, and I could hear Martin. Can you hear it in her? Oh, it's just that exasperated thing that she does. Yeah, I'm not going to do that to her.
Just asking, because it is really, when you're introducing anyone, you do have to take that into account. And nowadays, it doesn't seem like that's.
But there is a connection. A lot of people don't know that between Ninja Turtles and all. And it's so weird because I have that 1 degree of separation because I worked many times with Tom Waltz, and Tom Waltz was the one who took over with Laird doing IDW's run.
Well,
Hey, Kingsport Cal is here.
hey,
Hey, man, you've been
let's
missed.
see.
Oh, Kingsport Cow. Jesus,
my
dude,
God.
where have you been?
Spinneraz, I think he means racks, at the
Yeah.
gas station, grocery stores, convenience stores, etc. Those were the days. You got that right. I miss those days. I really do. Because
Goddamn right.
as I was saying last week, when you think about Gold Key comics, when you think about Harvey
God,
comics,
they were my favorites as a kid. Yeah.
Archie comics, then you would find, DC Comics, Marvel. I mean, there was only so much room on the racks. That's the other thing. It's great to have comic book stores, but when you didn't have that, you had whatever your local or nearest rack had, and that was it. You were grateful for it. I remember
And
the
if you
first
grew
time
up
I
like
walked.
where there was a 7-Eleven, 7-Elevens usually had 2 spinner racks in them full of comics. And that was so awesome as a kid, having that made available for us. Grandpa Keith
I'll
about
have a
the
lot more stories.
old-timey days. We didn't have comic books. We just drew on onion skins. That way we would always cry when we read comics.
Well, again, great classic novels to read. Frankenstein, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Hell's
I mean,
yeah.
The thing about it is, and I've said this before in the show, my daughter got interested in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But it wasn't until she started reading many of the books that fed into that she truly understood what the comics had gone for. And it took that entire story to a whole nother level for her.
Right.
And then it was the television series Penny Dreadful, which really got her started reading a lot of classic horror novels and understanding finally what the old man had been saying, that Hollywood's never really straight up adapted a lot of these stories. There's always angles and things that they would skip over, or for convenience, they would leave certain characters out, which I pointed out to her was one of the things that she had talked about in reading, growing up reading the Harry Potter books, how the movies didn't include everything that were in the books. And I said, yeah, well, Hollywood has a very bad habit of doing that with a lot of books, especially a lot of
like
classic horror novels.
Hermione's heroin addiction. It's nowhere in any of the movies.
Wow.
You had to go there. You had to go there.
Well, here's the other thing, though.
It's what I do.
This became, you've got people nowadays, young people nowadays, who see DC Comics as being, and mainly because of what Warner Brothers has done with their movies and television stuff, as being a very darker a much darker company than what it is. You know, prior to, I'd say, say, the early 2000s, DC Comics was always the company whose comic book characters were always very squeaky clean. Those characters were always criticized by a lot of Marvel fans for being way too squeaky clean. In fact, I knew people that read Marvel specifically because with Marvel comics, you would have characters that would drink, curse, have sex, take drugs. You know, a lot of that was not something that DC did all that well. But when it did happen, usually because somebody from Marvel had left working for them and decided to go across the street to work for DC and just sort of brought all that with them. You know, the Silver Age was a Silver Age for a reason. And the angle that James Gunn seems to want to take with his new Superman movie seems to be predicated on something that not a lot of young people seem to be very familiar with, which is the Silver Age of comics, specifically the Silver Age of comics through DC and Superman. There is a lot to cover going into the 1970s. By 1969, Batman had been around 30 years. Superman had been around 31 years. Spider-Man was still kind of new. X-Men, Fantastic Four were all kind of new. You're talking comics that had been around, many of which since 1961, 1962. So it really cannot be overstated, at least for those of us of a certain age, what the 1970s were like and what happened once you got into the early part of that decade and what it was like. It was a very transformative decade in more ways than one. Hollywood was changing. You had a whole new group of filmmakers that were coming into it, and comics were changing. The 1960s, with a lot of the post-war entertainment, and again, we were still, and a lot of television shows were still under, you know, they were still dealing with plot lines and things that kind of echoed where that generation was at that time. And a lot of characters being introduced into popular culture, television, film. You're talking characters like, you know, the lead characters of I Spy, both of whom had fathers that had fought in the war. But you would also have television shows that kind of dealt with that. You know, the biggest comedy out there, Hogan's Heroes, which again, that show could not exist today. There would be
it almost
no
didn't
way.
exist at the time.
True.
You want to make a comedy about Yahtzee Germans? And they had certain rules, like Klimper, who played Klink, said that he would only take that role if he was promised that anything that Colonel Klink tried to do failed.
Yeah.
It had to fail. And I love that they put a lot of thought into what they were doing.
Well, I mean, you had two big movies that kind of went over some of that. But to take a lot of what they did and turn it into a comedy on television, you had Stalag 17 and The Great Escape. Again, two films that if you haven't seen them, you should. And I think we've covered at least one of them on the Pop Culture Minefield Network.
Oh, we've done both of them. We've done both.
Okay, well
Yeah.
then look up our episodes and watch it. Okay? I mean, you've got to understand, for those of us that were born in the 60s, there's a lot of stuff that, being born into Gen X, there's a lot of stuff that we really had to understand. And rather than, take the easy way out, we didn't have anything like the internet to be able to give us stuff. There was no Yahoo, Google, Ask Jeeves, or anything.
Yahoo!
We had none of that. So we had to basically, either happen across it ourselves, had it recommended by friends, or, if we got lucky and found ourselves at a comic book shop or some other place, had someone much older make the recommendations to us, and discovered a lot of that stuff. A lot of the material certain authors would come out with. You would have Asimov was still writing at that time, pre-1970s. So Asimov was still one of the big ones. His work, along with the work of Tolkien and The Lord of the Rings, would find, along with The Hobbit, would find all new audiences in the 60s. In fact, those books had only been published in the 1950s. Dune was published in the 1960s. You had, I think Heinlein was still publishing. Let's see, Campbell was. Many people who would go on to become the grand masters of science fiction writing were also big. And, Hollywood just seemed to really be behind the times. You were one of those fans who had read a lot of those books. You notice that Hollywood would attempt certain things, but it wouldn't always be a full translation, or it wouldn't go all the way, with the exception of shows
like a very homogenized version, like Tarzan, shit like that.
Yeah. The only show that seemed to really be right there with a lot of the reading and material that you were able to read in books, especially award-winning books, was Twilight Zone. Although part of that was the fact that you were hiring people who were actually people that actually wrote science fiction, and many of those people who ended up writing for Twilight Zone would become legendary within the world of science fiction literature anyway. That's one of the things that doesn't get talked about enough when you are discussing a show like, say, Star Trek. Roddenberry, on purpose, went after people who had that background.
Yeah, it's something that both Roddenberry and this guy's name, Twilight Zone Night Gallery, Rod Serling, had in common. They ran around in that circle to begin with. They knew these guys and absolutely wanted the best science fiction writers to be writing for their anthological stories. And even though Star Trek's not anthological, he still wanted that kind of writer. Like Richard Matheson, classic Twilight Zone. You got Harlan Ellison. Look, man, that guy's a fucking asshole, but I fucking loved his writing. You just don't get better than him. But yeah, he was a crazy son of a bitch. It's like one of the single best Star Treks. And David Gerrold, a nobody. He was a kid. He's a fucking kid. and he gets pulled onto Star Trek to write the Trouble with Tribbles.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your eyes out there for that talent, man.
It's out there. And if you know what you're doing and you know how to reach and get that talent to not only work for you, but really, more importantly, work with you. The writing staff for Star Trek was legendary. And when you look at other shows, especially shows done nowadays, it's just not the same because you know they're not hiring those kinds of people. You know, they're hiring people from within the industry who get to use buzzwords to make you think they know what they're talking about. Again, as I've often said, if you remember what it was like back in school when you were given a group assignment where you had to pair up with someone, and when one person does all the work and the other person doesn't, it's pretty obvious that the Kurtzman Trek writers are all people who didn't do any homework at all. You know, they know how to use buzzwords. They know how to make things sound like they've actually done the work. But in actuality, when you actually talk to them, you can tell that these people don't know what they're saying. They don't know what they're doing at all. And while it might be unfair to some of you, it's what it is. Personally, I've often said, a lot of these people just shouldn't be working on Star Trek. They should go and work on their own thing if they can't get it right. Because you owe everyone who did get it right, who sweated over writing really good scripts, a lot of what Star Trek built in terms of its relationship, not only just to its fans, but really to any television audience. This new
the
stuff
Nerds, just to point out, Nerds already existed, but
yes,
they didn't have anything to cling to. And shows like Star Trek finally created something that, because there was never a fan base before until Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek pretty much created nerddom or geekdom.
Well, modern nerddom. And yeah, you're right. It was just, you could have other shows like Lost in Space, but Lost in Space was really something that was born out of a combination of, you know, taking something that already existed, like say Swiss Family Robinson, and
what it
combining it, yeah, and combining it with Hollywood's 50 sci-fi, which is really what it is. Everything about Lost in Space, and again, that's not trying to put it down. I enjoyed Lost in Space as a child, but the thing is, it was actually made for kids, and it was done in a way and in a style more in keeping with what many in Hollywood thought that sci-fi was. What Roddenberry and what Serling were doing wasn't sci-fi. They were dealing with science fiction, which is a slightly different thing. And that isn't to say that Irwin Allen, what he did with Lost in Space, was inferior. It was more along the lines of, it's more along the lines of trying to listen to, say, someone like Pat Boone, trying to do R&B and or blues inspired rock and roll. You know, that's exactly.
Could you imagine Pat Boone doing disco or funk?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
But and again, that's not to put it down. I mean, any, you know, it is. There were fans for that kind of thing, and again, Kurtzman Trek has fans. Not enough to really keep it alive. Kurtzman Trek only exists due to ego and Kurtzman's own super ego. And that's it. There's absolutely nothing within the bounds of Kurtzman Trek that is really anything about other than someone who didn't do all their homework and studying Star Trek and studying the work of the writers that worked on Star Trek. A lot of Kurtzman people, a lot of JJ people basically reduce a lot of the work done on the original Trek and even on shows like, Twilight Zone. They mock it in a way because they don't understand it. Unfortunately, for them, those writers are still heads and shoulders way above them. And as I've said many a time, there are more writers who have accomplished more within their careers in helping to define what that genre was, not only on television, but in film and in literature, that have worked on Twilight Zone and Star Trek, that have ever been hired or considered to have worked on anything that Alex Kurtzman has ever done in conjunction with Star Trek. Period. And I just feel bad for a lot of you people who are fans of that stuff, because you really don't know what you're missing. You really don't know. You've been raised on table scraps,
processed cheese,
and things like that.
Lady V has entered the chat.
Hey,
Lady
John's
V.
woman. What's up, Lady V?
But with Twilight Zone and with Star Trek, those are full course meals. Oh, just gourmet. Oh, just really good stuff. Once you get into the 80s and 90s under Rick Berman, he knew how to approximate a lot of stuff. And even, some of his people put their own spin on it. But it's also the same thing that helped to define shows like Doctor Who.
Yep.
Which, again, in my opinion, is one of the shows that I think helped to inform the basis of what Jack Kirby and Stan Lee did in creating the Fantastic Four. I know there are some people who's like, well, I can't watch all that stuff. It's in black and white. Well, we can't help it. A lot of it, the average person, the average geek and nerd, a lot of us didn't have color TV sets back in the 60s. Black and white is what you had, and that's how you watched everything. But you are missing out if you're just going to define whether or not you're going to like something by whether or not it has any color in it. Again, I knew kids that didn't want to read books. They just wanted to read comics. Well, that's fine. A lot of books help to inform a lot of comics too. A lot of classic novels that were used as the basis for many stories told. But I mean, again, it is up to you whether or not you want to do it. But if you really want to understand, you have to at least allow yourself the opportunity to try and read some of this stuff. Look, I've always admitted since I've started doing this that it probably hurt me to have never finished The Hobbit when I was a kid. My experience with reading that book the first time damaged how I viewed fantasy writing for years. And it was only later that when I realized what went into a lot of those stories, that I gave it a second chance and was able to complete it, you know, and found out, wow, this Tolkien guy really is good. Hold on, I let something pass here. And we're celebrating, Anima, member for 34 months. And Gambit, yeah, you're right. Hollywood has had a problem with innovation. It's part of the reason why Hollywood is stuck right now. You know, it has to be understood that the kinds of audiences that they had in the 50s and the 60s was an audience that was a little more literate and well-read, seriously well-read, compared to what we have now. So when like the aforementioned Tolkien, you have to understand that those books, those stories, were all written for kids. Yet I have heard people talk about how difficult it was for them to read those books. That's more of an indictment of where we are as far as our educational system since those books were published.
Boom.
Let's see. Oh, thank you for the spoiler alert. Yeah,
I have some comments start, so you can go there. There are very interesting comments.
okay.
Comments.
Let's see. Do we have them in the private chat or in the comment section?
Comment section.
Okay. Here. Why don't we go here? Why don't you pick out one of the ones for me, and I'll answer if it's a question.
Okay. Well, we have a question here.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, Real Popcorn Geek. The movie Crawl would fit right in the world of Star Wars. What say you, panel? It's its own thing.
I say no.
The thing is, and this is something that Gary has brought up. When you have someone like a Richard Donner, he didn't put out the word verisimilitude because it sounded kind of funky. It was a way of working. And every project, you at least have to be truthful to the story that you are telling, to the environment that you are creating with that story.
Yep.
You can't just throw in a bunch of things and expect people to go with you on that ride. If you create an environment and you do something that goes against the environment or the rules that you set up for that environment, you're going to lose your audience. And especially if you're talking about going to the movies, there are people spending their hard-earned money to be entertained. The least you can do is try to set up some rules and to stay within those rules and boundaries that you've set up for the story.
Yep.
You know, it's basic writing 101 when creative writing 101. You can't just do anything within the bounds of a story. You just can't. You know, you can't sit down to watch, say, something like Legally Blonde and have the lead character, Elle Wood, suddenly pull out a machete and start hacking people to bits. Personally, that would make
that
the
would be
movie better for
fun.
me. Yeah, it'd be fun, but you know, you're going to lose the audience that are fans of what you're telling. And that's the problem, realistically, with Kurtzman Trek. There is no verisimilitude, at least in conjunction with everything that had come before. You know, Star Trek has its own verisimilitude. You cannot come into it and demand that everything in the past follow what you're doing now. That's back-asswards. Kurtzman didn't create it. And as a custodian of something, as a caretaker, he's really, really bad. When his time comes and he's done, he has so mistreated Star Trek as an IP.
Well, he's mistreated everything he's worked on, including the MonsterVerse from Universal.
Well, yeah.
He's the one who was right up there destroying those films. He's such an asshole.
Well, I mean, he's also, you know, what he's done with Hawaii Five-0, Magnum PI. That really is part of his contract with CBS. That is what they were doing. Is that they were just developing stuff they already owned. And they were trying to find modern, quote unquote, up-to-date ways of taking IP that they already owned and bringing it back for people that were younger or even not even born yet, when a lot of these were originally a part of the CBS television network, especially Hawaii Five-0. So to do Star Trek, you know, CBS just came at it as this IP that they just happened to have the rights for, and that Kurtzman could basically do whatever he wanted with it, which was a mistake. Kind of like Amazon with Rings of Power. So let's see. And Kingsport Kyle, you're right. Why not make new stuff? The argument being it doesn't have an audience already attached to it, which is their reasoning for doing what they're doing.
And ironically,
personally, I agree with you.
Ironically, they do it for that reason, but then turn right around and hate the fucking fan base.
And that's where Gary and I really push back. You know, this has become part of the MO of pretty much every corporate entertainment studio in Hollywood, which is to find different ways of trying to get people to enjoy what they give them, and if they don't enjoy it, to find a way to blame them, shame them.
Yeah, it's your fault that you don't like it.
That's right. You don't like the way I give you gruel, it's your fault.
That's on you, man.
You know, it's just it is so messed up the way things are today. And this whole thing about just blaming fans is it's embarrassing, is really what it is. It actually shows it's actually a sign that you're dealing with a lot of people who are just creatively bankrupt, ultimately. I know it's Eastland, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to pick on Legally Blonde. I have a lot of respect for
Reese Witherspoon.
The fact that she makes stuff and she's got a fan base that follows her through all that. And I know there are people who enjoy those films, and I'm happy for you. again, those movies were not made for me. But I don't hate on those films. I'm glad they exist, and I'm glad that there's a fan base for it. Let's see. It is really incumbent as fans to treat each other with respect. Although I gotta say, this is not something that you really ever had to say to a lot of the fan base prior to the year 2000. We knew that. You know, not everybody was always into all the same things. You know, I was a Justice League fan, but I also enjoyed Fantastic Four and the Avengers. That didn't always sit well with all my Marvel friends.
Oh no, I mean back in the day, Star Trek fans versus Star Wars fans. That got ridiculous. I'm like, I love both of them. What the fuck's wrong with you? Why don't you love both?
Right?
But it was not as much of a hate-filled thing as it is nowadays, and a lot of that being stoked by and supported by the companies that should really be not taking any sides at all. You know, it wasn't like George Lucas sat around going, well, these fans over here I like, but those fans over there I don't. Oh, stay away. No. If you don't like what's going on, just don't watch it. Don't give me money. Said no one that worked in the business prior to the year 2000.
Roddenberry and Lucas liked each other and knew of each other. So
yes, and a lot of fans knew that. But it's like the way you hear it said now, you got people under the age of 35 who actually believe the BS that they're being told nowadays. So, newsflash to a lot of you out there. Yeah, you're being lied to. You're being lied to. There's people out there that talk like they understood what the 70s was about, what the 80s were about, what the 90s was about. You could tell from the way they talk, they have actually absolutely no clue. None. Fandom was fandom. People could disagree, but we didn't hate each other. You know, DC and Marvel fans could hang out. You know, if you really wanted to get exact with it, I mean, I could make the observation, you know, everything was fine in fandom before the internet came along, but blaming the internet is kind of like, you know, it's like blaming soccer for creating, you know, for how their fans react and how you get hooligans.
Blaming soccer for creating Europeans.
Oh, jeez, that's so true. That is so true, Gary. It's just, it is embarrassing. But I also will point out how that actually works out for a lot of these companies that are benefiting financially from putting out a lot of this stuff and getting fans to just totally act out of their minds. Let's see. Lindsay, the Cynical Geek. There are 100 years worth of movies and over 60 years worth of television shows, so I have plenty to watch still. Hollywood today is no longer needed. Lindsay, you pretty much have, yeah. Everybody was fine. Everybody was cool. You had Marvel fans, you had DC fans, you had Star Trek fans, you had Lost in Space fans, you had Space 1999 fans, you had UFO fans, you had Star Wars fans. I mean, you know, Planet of the Apes fans. Everybody had something that they were into, and we all got along. You know, a couple of tech bros decide to buy a company thinking they can get into entertainment. Next thing you know, we're getting lectured about how to treat each other. More often than not, from certain actors who have done a lot of shady stuff in their past, but they're going to lecture us on how to treat other people. Okay, I crossed the line personally there, so I'm going to back up off that before I go down the rest of that road. But it's just, I just find it interesting how the so-called fan problem only became a fan problem once Hollywood got into the habit of spending an unseemly amount of money making a lot of the stuff that they're making now.
Speaking of a lot of money, made me think of Apple. Apple's, it's got the smallest subscribership of any of the streaming services, and yet has some of the highest production values.
Yep.
And they have a show that Anima and I just started watching called Murderbot. And I cannot recommend this show any more than saying it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I fucking love the sci-fi aspect. It's a bunch of fucking hippies go into space, and they have a robot who has unlocked its coupling that keeps it restrained from doing whatever it wants. And it gave itself the nickname Murderbot, which freaks them out. Like, why would you name yourself that? And he's in charge of their security and safety. And he can't stand them. He can't stand them, but he's addicted to soap operas, sci-fi soap operas, because he watches thousands of hours of the soap opera. And he's so caught up in the lives of these fictional characters. Here he is with a bunch of fucked up real human beings, and he can't stand them. The irony is just great. And it's, what's his name? The Dutch actor's sons. One played Pennywise.
Pennywise, yeah. That's
it's the good-looking brother that's been in a lot of action films.
Yeah, the eldest of, the one who was Tarzan, the one who was on True Blood. Yeah.
Oh my God, I loved his Tarzan, by the way.
Wasn't that movie great?
Yeah, it was. So anyway, he's great on this show, and I'm just telling people, this is a show to give a chance. It's funny as hell. Got some cool sci-fi elements to it, and I think it's well written. I got to be honest.
Well, I'm gonna have to check that out. I look at everything now in Hollywood, and I think to myself, it is too bad Harlan Ellison's no longer around, because he would.
He was around for a while, and he fucking hated a lot of the modern shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, and a lot of the people that were doing it, he called out a lot of people. And let me just say, while there are people that hated that, didn't like him, you have to admit a lot of what he had to say is true.
Yep.
You know, you have an entire, and here's the other thing. There's a lot of people in Hollywood that hated him because he didn't take any stuff off of them. He took no crap off of anybody, especially people that worked in Hollywood. He and Sean Connery, if they thought you cheated them, had no qualms about getting their lawyers together and going after somebody legally. And Harlan won a lot. He won a lot of those. I mean, a lot of those. So, Harlan, again, the older that I get, the more I start to really see, wow, Harlan was right. You know. And again, the guy was an a-hole, but
yeah,
again,
I'm angry because they didn't let me kill Bones McCoy in my story. He needed to die. It's like, fuck off, dude. That's not your character to kill when you want.
Yes. I'm not saying the dude was perfect, but a lot of what he had to say about the education system, about our colleges. Oh, he would have had a field day with the way colleges are today. Whew. But the guy earned that right, considering the awards that he won, the shows that he worked on. I mean, the proof really is in his work, and he knew how to do it. So you can't take that away from him. And again, I would put Harlan Ellison up against any person who has written for Star Trek in recent years.
Oh, they're garbage writers. Stuff
You
today
know,
is terrible.
It's terrible stuff. Again, for those of you out there though that enjoy it, I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm not trying to be funny about it. I'm glad you find something about it. You know, enjoy it for as long as you can, because once Skydance and David Ellison are fully in charge, that might be it. And again, I can't sit here and say that I'll cry about it. In fact, I might throw a party.
I might do a little dance. I like dancing. I might dance for you. I might do a little jig. Yeah.
I will say this. A lot of today's writers just are so ill-informed that when it comes to quote-unquote fixing things, they do more damage fixing things than they ever did in writing something that might be a little off. And as an example, I would say the latest Captain America movie is a great example of that. The attempt to fix that film, I think, made it worse than what they originally had as the plot of the film that they made that you are not seeing. Personally, I would like to see the first film they made, the one with Bucky in it.
Yeah, we need to let Bucky be Bucky.
He should not have been in that other movie. And again, Marvel Studios are so full of themselves, they actually thought that they could get away with taking Bucky out of Captain America film and placing him in the Thunderbolts. Well after Thunderbolts had already started filming. So he wasn't even in the original script.
What were you thinking, Kevin Feige, you fuckhead?
The idea that I had is, you know, it's a Captain America film. Instead of getting rid of Bucky, what they should have done was the exact opposite, which is leave Bucky in the movie. Leave the original villains that they had, which were the Serpent Society, and in fact add more characters to it. They should have added John Walker. Instead of putting him in Thunderbolts, they should have had him in Captain America. And they should have gone with Red Guardian also. Should have placed him in Captain America. Now, one would think, well, why would we need all of that? Well, think about it. It's a Captain America movie. And what you're dealing with are all of the characters whose lives, one way or another, that Steve touched, working together to stop the Serpent Society. That's a way better movie than the one that we got. Way better. And I think, ironically, almost everybody would have had would have taken they were people that had taken the serum, with the exception of Sam.
Which is why him as Captain America doesn't make any sense. He has
It doesn't make
no
any sense, but
abilities.
it would have brought a balance to the kind of story that you're taking, because all these other characters have messed up lives. When you really think about it, Red Guardian's life is not easy.
Red Guardian's life is eating the canned whipped cheese. Is good. It's good. It's good.
John Walker's life is turned to stuff, and you put all these characters together working against an organized group of bad guys. Oh, that's that really could easily be kind of like a spiritual sequel to The Winter Soldier, in terms of what you would set up, both in terms of story, but also in terms of action. And they decided, yeah, you know what? We're just gonna.
Hey there, Nami. Sound like you're doing Cliff.
We're gonna take Bucky and put him over with this other group of characters. Which, in adding Bucky, that's basically what they did. They added him to what they had already written. Thunderbolts was not to be the Thunderbolts of the comics. It was really the Yelena Belova movie. It's Yelena and a whole bunch of other characters. Now also starring Bucky. That's the reason why I call that film
fucking mess.
Basically. But hey, I get it. The Lady V, today's generation has different priorities and values. I can't say I hate them if I, in part, try to understand them. I don't hate them. I don't hate them at all. In fact, today's generation is being taken advantage of. That's what Gary and I are saying. They're being taken advantage of by people who basically don't think too highly of them. That's the reason why they can get away with blaming them for things or stoking dissent amongst the fan base. And then they scratch their head as to why nobody's getting into what. Yeah. You can't tell somebody to touch grass if they don't like what you're doing. Then be surprised when the ratings for your show go in the toilet. At the same time, they do this whole thing was, you don't know if you don't like it if you don't watch. Streaming works differently than regular TV. Just even watching a show, you end up, there are benefits for them in you sitting down to watch what they've done. If you don't like it, you don't like it, period. I don't see any reason to have to watch an entire season of something that you really don't like, especially when the people that participate in it give interviews intimating that people like you aren't really the audience they're aiming for. Which, let me let you in on a secret. If somebody decides to tell me that they're not really concerned with whether or not I actually like what they do, or they're not making it for me, I'm not going to watch. It's that simple. If you want me, you know where I am. You know what I like. If you don't, I got other things to do. And yet somehow they think they can emotionally manipulate me into feeling bad because I didn't watch.
Yeah, it's your fault you don't like this. It's not our fault. We made something good. You just don't have good taste. That's what they are. That's what they talk like.
No,
And it's
no, they are not saying you have bad taste. They are saying you are a bad person, which is
yes.
vastly different.
Let's see. Lady V says, I think some of it comes from influence versus defiance. Same result in all generations. But I'm not going to sit through.
Skibbity
Oh,
toilet.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no. No, no.
Yeah.
No.
That's not something that I'm really just going to. Yeah. There are things that are made for me and there are things that aren't. And for those things that are in a kind of gray area, I will do research in. And this is the part where when
This
you
show is
give,
terrible. Oh, hold on. They got titties. I'm going to watch this.
for me, this is where the importance of doing interviews and trying to advertise with those interviews to people to get them interested in what you're doing. That's the important part right there. When you do an interview and you're trying to get people excited about what you've done, that's great. If you decide to hijack the interview and start talking about whatever personal beliefs you bring into it, or the kinds of people who you would rather have watch your program versus the people that you don't want. The purpose really of all of that stuff, whether you're going on late night shows, giving interviews, or whatever, is to get people excited about what you've done. What has happened is that some of these people are running so far off of the mouth that they are basically chasing potential viewers and potential sales away. And these companies, rather than being mad at these people, decide to take it out on the very people who they were trying to persuade to spend money and some of their precious time in watching what they've made. Which, again, I'm still trying to wrap my head. Well, even Gary's trying to wrap his head around that one. You know, I mean, if you don't like something, you don't like something. No amount of calling people names is ever really going to do anything. And that's, again, that's the way the business was then versus now. You know, people, you had professionals that were all about trying to get you to go see a movie. And they really wanted you to like it so you could tell your friends. You didn't have to worry about expressing how you didn't like a movie. And by expression, I mean someone who was able to articulate what they did not like. Bonus points if they're able to also articulate what they did like. But if they articulate what they did not like, you don't organize against that person and go after them. You know, then again, I come from the generation of kids that just like either it sucked or it didn't. Was it good or did it suck? I could see a lot of that going on, but the reason why you didn't have to worry about anybody coming after you back then is that the people that were making it understood that you're not doing yourself any favors when you go after a potential audience. These people have got money and some time. You know, now you got people that are spending ludicrous sums of money to make things. And on top of everything else, you know, you find out they really do need money or else they're going to lose a lot of money. And they don't think anything of coming after you or saying stuff about you or pointing out how it's your fault or all kinds of stuff. And it makes no sense. And really, I mean, you know, I have to laugh sometimes because it's like they really, some of these people just don't get it. You want to separate me.
Don't get it.
You want to separate me from my money, and you think insulting me is going to do it. You know, I mean, I look at some of these people and I go, well, you really don't look like Don Rickles, so I don't have to really give you any time, attention, or money for insulting me. You know, so I just it's mystifying to me. But there are a lot of people nowadays that are playing the game, you know, and that's unfortunate. Let's see. Wow, what is this? What happened here? Let's see. It's all subjective, in my opinion. Yes, it is. It is all subjective. You know, I just think that you know, there's a lot to this, but in my view, I mean, fandom, in my opinion, is being led astray. You know, we're being talked into fighting amongst ourselves to cover up for the fact that a lot of what we are being given isn't that good. To distract from the fact that a lot of what we're being presented with isn't that good, isn't that well thought out. Or, unfortunately, we're being asked to pay for low quality stuff from people who say they believe the same things we do when it's obvious they don't. You know, somebody wants to come to work for you and they say they know French. You ask them to speak a little French and all they can say is French fries. Chances are they don't know any French. But I'm supposed to feel bad because they really, really wanted the job and they really feel like they really deserve
But I
to have
really
the job.
feel like I know French. I know how to stick my tongue into things. Isn't that French? I know how to surrender quickly. I'm sorry for all the people who are watching right now.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
Look, I know people that get a little put off by some of the things I've said on some of my shows. And I'm sorry that you do. I really am. I do mean that. I'm not just saying it to say it. It's just that how else can I?
You mean you're not being arbitrary?
See, there you go. How can I express myself?
No way. No way.
I try to do this honestly. I want to give you my honest opinion. It's not easy to do that if I'm having to really always consider
and your feelings. Yeah, I know. It's let the chips fall where they may.
You either want the truth or you want me to dance around the truth. So my thing has always been, and again, I somebody tried to ambush me with this the other day. It's like, you just straight up hate Alex Kurtzman. No, I don't hate Alex Kurtzman. I've never met the man. Never met the man.
Hate's a harsh word. How about not respect?
I just think
works
that
for me.
He and Akiva Goldsman are not fans of Star Trek.
I'll tell you something else they're not. They're not good writers. And that's not just an opinion. That gets into the technicality of what writing is.
Yes.
The structure of writing. And that's why I tell people, well, it's your opinion. No, I'm talking about technical stuff now. Stuff that can actually be gauged. And they're not good writers because they don't follow structure correctly.
Uh-huh.
And they put plot above story. all the fucking time. And that's another sign of bad writing. Because guess what? You can have a story without a plot, but you can't have a plot without a story.
Mm-hmm. They are killing the brand, is what they're doing. And they really don't care because they don't own it.
Well, he made it clear. He said it. This is I got this for activism. That's what I am. He is an activist. He is not there to create quality work. He's there to be an activist. He said it. That's his own fucking words. I'm not putting words in his fucking mouth, nor will I put my dick.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man.
That joke just sort of made itself.
Wow.
How can you be so smart, Gary, and so crass? It goes hand in hand.
Again, everybody has their own point of view and all of that stuff, but I think we've seen enough Kurtzman Trek to realize that this is just not good stuff. And again, I know there are people out there that are really fans of what they put together, and I'm happy for them. I really am. My criticism of Kurtzman Trek has only really touched on what the writers and producers have done. I have never had anything cross to say about any of the actors, nor any of the people that work on the show outside of being writers and producers. That's as far as I go with my criticism.
That's when they got political and also said the show is great. That's the only time I have something wrong with the actors. The show is wonderful. And if you don't like it, you're horrible.
I have also gone after many of the executives for CBS because, they make a heck of a lot more money than I'll ever see. So they should be able, to take me criticizing them. And if they can't, well.
Joke them if they can't take a fuck.
You have a question here.
Yeah, what's the difference between a story and a plot? Oh, that's a good question.
Okay, I'm going to tell you to go read a book. And if you read like something like by, what's her name? Charlotte Bronte, or some of the classics, you will find little to no plot. Plot is a device. Mm-hmm. A plot is something that occurs within a story that can often be used to push the story forward. But when you rely on a plot to push your story forward, you're not doing your job as writing stories. Stories should carry itself. It's like one of the first rules you learn in screenwriting is dialogue is there for one reason. One reason only is to push your story forward. If you're writing dialogue for the sake of dialogue, like Quentin Tarantino does, he doesn't care much about story. He cares more about character development, and that's okay. That's a whole different kettle of fish. Some people like character-driven stories that don't have really, it's not really going anywhere. Okay, but when you're writing a screenplay, the first rule is typically to focus on your story, your character development, and make sure that whatever the themes are essential to writing stories. You've got to have a theme. Man versus man, man versus machine, man versus self, stuff like that. And well, stories don't, like I said, Meph, doesn't need a plot. There are thousands upon millions of stories out there with zero plot. They're just stories. Mm-hmm. Like there are hardly ever plots in short stories, or as like 2-page, 3-page short stories are referred to as sudden fiction, and they have no plot. It's all story. It's all character. And but then you start getting fancy and you throw in devices into your writing. Like in Pulp Fiction, he jokingly used whatever was in the briefcase. That's a plot device. That's not story. That's plot device. And he played with it, I thought, in a fairly funny way. I like the way he did it. Hitchcock used it all the time. It's the bomb under the table. It's the thing that everybody is after, you know?
Yeah.
I said, can have a plot. Learn to read. Well, I fucking just read it, cocksucker. God, you're lucky I'm fucking friends with you. So anyway, no, it's just, there you go. It's like a plot is a device that you can use within a story. It is not the story. It is a device to either help build your story or universe, or to help you move your story forward. And that's it. If it's anything other than that, it's not functional. That's why I hate J.J. Abrams, because all he does is use plot. Like I couldn't believe how many plot twists he had in that Star Trek Into Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like every time you turn around, there was a plot twist. And it's like, God, that's fucking annoying. I just want a good story with interesting characters. Can you fucking do that, JJ? The answer was no.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and again, a good example of that is what they ended up doing on a lot of his shows. You know, he has all these TV shows that he presents. And ultimately, it's just, yeah. I'm really glad that I'm really glad J.J. Abrams had nothing to do with something like Breaking Bad. There is absolutely no way he could have brought that in for a landing.
Absolutely not.
I mean, just
Vince Gilligan is an amazing writer. He cut his teeth with Chris Carter, man.
Yep. And when you look at something like even Better Call Saul, JJ couldn't have done that. Kurtzman couldn't have done that. You know, Akiva Goldsman definitely could not have done that. You look at something like, say, The Expanse. I know I've talked about The Expanse before, but The Expanse really is that good.
It's a very good, well-written show.
Yeah, it's just, I really don't get some people who want to compare Kurtzman Trek favorably to The Expanse. It's like, what are you looking at? What are you smoking? And how come you're not sharing
you
with
are
the rest
so
of the class?
high. You're clearly high.
Good one, James. Mystery box full of stale MacGuffins.
Yeah, and the MacGuffin is another word for plot device.
Yep.
And I do believe it was Hitchcock that came up with MacGuffin.
Yep. Good one, Tom. And there's certainly a lot of pod people working nowadays. I think a majority of the people who are currently writing that are under a certain age and haven't been with the Writers Guild for very long need to, not very many of them are people that have read very many books, let alone have been fans of or have watched very many well-written films or television shows. You know, they're just so caught up in what they do and what they've done. Oh, geez, it's not possible for them to actually be able to turn in something that is any real quality. Capable. Okay.
Oh, Penny, enjoy that one. I was I don't know if that's going to get down here, but I do want to watch it.
A show right now, guys, that I'm surprised I'm liking it all because it's by J.J. Abrams, called Duster, and it's on Max. And I think it's really just the actors that are making it enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
I have so many problems with some of the shit he does. It's like the guy doesn't understand nuance at all. He could not write a character that has nuance. He just can't do it. And I'm talking about J.J. Abrams. I don't know why he's incapable. Because it's just so cursory to do that. And he can't.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to write nuance. And he has to write racism with a beating your horse to death kind of racism. It's you got to have a white guy talking down to a black person or a black woman in this case, and it's like, and he can't be doing it in a nuanced way. He has to do it in a way that's just like, you clearly fucking hate this guy because he's just talking shit. Whereas racism was a little more nuanced than that back in that day in the 70s.
Yeah.
Where you would be talking to somebody and you might not even have any clue they're a fucking racist until that one moment. And then you're like, oh shit, you're a fucking racist. And he couldn't write a character like that. And that's why I don't like J.J. Abrams, because he's not a writer. He acts like a writer and he's not.
No, I have many reasons, but that's one.
And but I'm giving this show a chance because I like the leading guy. He's really enjoyable. Driving this whole fucking Duster from the 70s. He's an uncle and he wants to be a good family man, but he's a criminal. And I'm telling you, it's almost in spite of J.J. Abrams, this show is turning out so good.
Yeah. I just keep going over in my head why JJ felt the need to try to remake or replace Batman the Animated Series with Batman Cape Crusader.
Oh my God. I tried watching that and it was just so atrocious that the stink of J.J. Abrams on the writing and the character development. I was like, really? You did that? Okay, fuck off.
And why it was so important for him to try to write his own version of Superman when all he had to do was make a film like Icon that basically stands for all of the stuff that supposedly he said he believed in. Yet he couldn't find his way past to making, turning Icon into a major motion picture because it was so very important to get together with Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Like I said, he doesn't understand nuance. He has to make his fight against racism just this fucking, everything's got to be large and in charge, and it's just fucking weird to write that way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm doing some fine work here. So,
when
I say fine, I don't mean good work. I mean, I'm doing work with a very fine pen shape. So there we go. That's what I just inked right there.
Cool.
And guess what he's in?
What is he in?
Scroll up and you'll know. Right there. That's what Vindicated drives.
Oh,
awesome.
I really like the because his car is black and I was trying to fill in and not overdo it with the black. Because some people don't like black.
What?
And what? What? That's impossible.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm drawing this car and I just really love I love classic muscle cars, dude. I just fucking love them. Now, let me get back to inking here and this is it right here. I'm done as soon as I get this Can you see the blue lines there for the seat?
Wow.
Yes,
Let's see.
I canceled for today because I have an appointment too.
Real Popcorn Geek. Jensen
Oh, yeah.
Ackles has a new series coming to Prime Video that looks good called Countdown.
Hold on.
I saw that in IMDb yesterday.
Well, hopefully, I'd like to think that, well, I was initially hoping after the announcement yesterday that James Gunn will be coming to San Diego Comic-Con, and he's bringing John Cena with him.
Too bad nobody's gonna see him.
Oh. Well, I don't know. It's just I'm ready to see what the
You ready to see?
yeah.
You ready to see what?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm for me personally, I am ready to see some of the new programs and stuff that have been discussed coming. This one being one of the new ones I'm just learning about. I'm interested in checking out the new Buffy series. Now, is it going to be perfect? Is it going to be what I expect it to be? I don't know. A lot of the people that are in charge of it creatively, I'm not too sure about. But I am trusting Sarah Michelle Gellar. You know, I'm hoping that the new series can.
Yeah, after hearing her Tila, I wouldn't be so sure.
Well, she's not working with those writers, though. You know. Yeah. Anyway, then I keep hearing rumors about a new Stargate program. I would really love to see something new. After what happened at San Diego Comic-Con last year, I was hoping to at least get something approximating to what I had heard that their announcement was going to be. Recent moves behind the scenes make it seem like we still may get it. There's a very high probability that could be a major announcement coming in July. But yeah, I see James Gunn and his team at Warner Brothers. I see them doing good work. Can they compete against what has already happened, especially when it comes to Superman? I don't know. I'm on the fence. You know, there's stuff that I've seen that I like, and there's a few things that I'm still on the fence about. Do I think it'll be better than Fantastic Four at this point? Heck yes. But at the rate things are going, I think even paint drying might have a shot against Fantastic Four.
Hey, Keith, what movie is Mephisto talking about that he saw? That he saw 2 days ago?
I think it's easier asking Mephisto.
What that meant was talking about, because it seemed like he was responding to something that he saw the movie 2 days ago.
Let's hold on. Let me jump back with Mephisto and see. Let's see. Mephisto says, "Wow."
Yeah, I'm just not seeing it. What movie were you talking about you saw 2 days ago, Matt? Just curious.
Yeah, Beth, come on.
I'm not finding it here.
Flavor Flap's girlfriend? You're talking about Stains?
Flavor Flav's girlfriend. Flavor Flav. Yeah, he had a girlfriend for a moment. Brigitte Nielsen.
Oh my god, that movie. Every time I remember that I have to watch that movie again. That shit caused me physical pain. Oh my god.
Good.
No.
Wow.
No. Chinese rabbits.
Did he ever say what it was? Because I haven't
No.
seen him.
No, Meth, we need you to answer so we can judge you.
Well, I'm curious what film it was, because if it's something I haven't seen, I'd like to watch it if he liked it.
What? They're making a TV show about Friday the 13th?
Yeah, well, I've heard loose things about that one, but yeah, again, there are fans who are definitely going to tune in, and this is their top priority. I wish them a lot of luck. I hope it's everything they hope it would be. I'm hoping it's not going to go the Rings of Power route.
So it's Crystal Lake is the name of the series, as I recall, and it's like, I don't know if it's a prequel or if it's going to be a follow-up after all the events of Friday the 13th. And the continued...
Sounds like a prequel.
I don't know. It's one or the other. I'd watch a Camp Crystal series if it's done tastefully.
Yeah.
Well, when you say tastefully, do you mean good tastefully or bad tastefully? Because tastefully just means it had taste.
Well, it depends if you're a cannibal or not.
It's like my grandmother couldn't understand why I was so rotten as a kid, and she'd always tell me to behave, and I said, I am behaving badly.
Okay, Real Popcorn says it's a prequel.
Okay, all right. So we're going to get to see why the butler...
Pamela.
Not only do we already know that the butler did it, we get to see why the butler did it.
Because she's cuckoo.
I really fucking hate prequels. I really do.
Yeah. That's
because if she's in it, mom, Jason's mom, she ain't gonna fucking die. So
yeah,
what's the point, of watching something if you know they're not gonna die? And by the way, Keith, did you like my nickname?
Disavowed.
Don't
somebody alert the colonel.
I had some KFC, man. I got the shits.
Lady V says, if it's built around drama and psychological aspects instead of the weird teenagers doing naughty things.
I just can't see them being that smart. I just don't see it. It's like teenagers. Mac, Mac. He tried to get me to watch the prequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to. And he's like, why? I said, because if Leatherface is in it and his daddy and his brother, and they're the main antagonists of the story, the central antagonist, they're not going to fucking die. So the chances of anybody fucking getting them arrested or killed is like, why are you watching it? If you know the outcome, you already know how it's going to end. whoever they go up against is going to fucking die because they already exist in the future film. That's why I fucking hate prequels. KFC is the shit.
Then someone replied with, "It's not the destination, it's about the voyage."
Okay. Those are the kinds of people that I just fucking hate traveling with.
Well played. Well played.
I don't travel with people that talk that way. I gotta try something here real quick. I want to see how this looks with the black border. Let me know if it pops. Let me know if the artwork pops. You might want to enlarge my screen.
Okay, give me. I will have to swap. And
No, all you got to do is hit my make me solo, and it'll do it too. I just want to do it for just a second when I put black as the border, the gutters. Does that make the artwork pop more?
Give me a second because again, try it again.
That's it. I've already done it.
Yeah, go back and then redo it.
Oh my god!
Wow.
White gutters
again.
Black gutters.
Yes, better, much better.
There you go. Keith wins again. Black is better.
Just as I have foreseen.
Always. It's always proven. And it don't crack either. Stop fucking hitting it.
I've got no complaints up to now.
Neither does Mel.
Ooh.
Oh.
Wow.
I've been looking forward to drawing this, so I penciled it last night. This shot of him low angle looking up from the gear shift. He's getting ready to do what he's about to do, and I don't want to tell you what it is he's about to do. It's fucking nasty for the bad guys. Yeah, I'm actually considering getting chicken again today just to test, because I'm telling you, man, I'm going to be fucking angry if Ozempic won't let me eat, what do you call it? Chicken.
Oh, we have another opinion here. Lady B, I think she prefers the white background.
Racist.
Oh my.
She's racist. I like it. For me, in my opinion, it works better because it really makes it pop. When you have the white background, I find it distracting from the artwork.
Yep.
Because it's empty space. There's nothing. It's black. And then the artwork comes out of the black. I think that this looks good. Look, there's a reason why black velvet paintings sell, even though I can't stand them. What's this? The Crystal Lake showrunner has been involved with the upcoming It series. That's another one I'm not sure how I feel about. I'm going to watch it, though, Keith. I am going to watch the new It series. But
I don't see the point of it.
I don't either, because if it's going to be dealing with the alien or the clown, Pennywise, they're not going to win because, it took the kids 2 experiences. They went from childhood to adulthood to finally beat it. And you're still not totally sure if he's completely destroyed. It's sort of like in, what is that movie? Time Bandits. Just a little piece of darkness is pure concentrated evil, right?
Maybe.
Shut up. Okay. The woman that I'm in love with and lets me touch her says she likes it. She's laughing right now,
The background, not the touching.
Yeah, she's laughing right now at what I just said. That's why I love her so much, because she laughs at my fucking jokes. So, but anyway, we're at 2 hours. You guys going to go any longer? Because I'm going to get going.
Whatever you say. Keith,
are you still here?
Oh yeah.
You want to keep going?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go. I got to get going.
Yeah. You go ahead and go. No, I just
All
got
right,
a
man.
message here. Okay.
Yeah, go. Who cares?
Yeah, yeah. Fuck you, Gary. Get out of here. God, I can hardly wait till you leave.
You have a good one, Gary.
It's
And
like
thank you for
Polly
hanging out.
earlier says, open invitation to Keith to join him on Latino Slant, but not me.
Paul is
He
a
and I
wise man.
still past due because he has not gotten caught up on Lincoln Lawyer, the TV series.
Oh,
And we've got to talk about that show because I am in love with the writing on that show. I love that show. So, but anyway, guys, everybody have a spectacular Thursday.
Wait. You have a question here from.
What's this? Didn't
Lady
you
B?
have touches of red in some of your work as well? Yeah, well, I'll show you. Red is used for two different things for me.
okay.
And I'll show you what it's used for. A prime example. Let me get over here. I think it's chapter 7. Yep. Sometimes I'll use it for fonts. And where's a good example of where I use it? Here we go. Because I even did red line on this one, even though it's not there anymore. Because I think it was 11 Alpha caught something that the port
the
was closed. The ejection port was closed. So now it's open. I fixed it.
Cool.
So the ejection port looks the way it's supposed to look now. But I use red fonts in here so I make sure that I can see them because they're all in their own little folder. So the master command is for all text to be red on this until I'm ready to start doing word bubbles. I also fucked up somewhere else. And I don't want to point out where it is, but I did fuck up and I got to redraw something. I mean, I have to fully redraw. Fuck it, I'll show you. That should be his head, not his feet. Because of the way he fell. And I went, fuck. So I got to redraw that. It'll take me like half an hour. But I do like this page. I like the explosion. And I like him blasting that guy's skull. And also while firing 3 shots right there. Hits this guy and whatever guy's behind him. You don't need to see all 3 of them to know that he nailed him. Because the next scene he's walking out in the hall. Because he can't, that's the thing that sucks in comics. You can't pan. And that's what I would do here. Him coming in, and I would pan left as he's firing so you can see who he's hitting. But that's just extra artwork that takes away from telling the story, the visual storytelling. So I'm like, just knowing. Also, notice I put the mist around his head. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Pulverized blood. Nice.
Yep. It's been atomized. I like that wall blast too. It's fucking cool looking. Anyway. So, but that's where I use red, Lady V. A lot of red. I also, in editing, when you're doing editing, you do what's called red lines. So I did that like right here when the port was wrong. I drew a red circle around it. I didn't have to put a note. I knew what the red circle meant. Go back and fix that, dumb fuck. That's what that meant. And I'm going to close that and hit save.
I still prefer this. Rectangles.
Go back to camera. There I am.
Whoa, dude.
I know it's scary.
You have to warm before doing that.
I know. Ever since you got the pacemaker, you don't want that thing killing you. I've got such a naughty joke to make out of that. When she wants him to speed up, she just smacks the pacemaker.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
wow.
No laughing from Martin, so he's giving me a dirty look right now for that joke. Oh my gosh. Did anybody in the chat fucking enjoy that at all? Yeah, James Castro, Caserta. How do you pronounce that, Martin?
Caserta.
He liked it.
Yep.
James, Are you in Italy?
Lady V at my joke. There's Lady V's reaction to my joke.
Wow. And that's Gary, everybody.
Yep. I'm here to either make you laugh or shock the shit out of you.
Okay, Stain.
Wow.
It's Schindler's List. That's dark, John. That's so fucking dark.
Oh, geez, that's so dark.
All I know is when you see red, you're about to see a scary scene, according to M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Wow.
How done what to? Wait. Done what to? I didn't understand that. What's that reference to? Nobody helping me?
I'm trying to remember what you're saying.
Yeah, because I forget things almost as soon as I say them.
Oh, the Peacemaker joke.
Pacemaker.
Pace, right.
Yeah, first of all, pacemakers don't work that way, but jokes don't necessarily need to rely on reality to be funny. It's the idea that's funny. There's nothing worse than somebody, telling that joke and going, you can't do that to a pacemaker. Pacemakers don't work that way. And then I just want to smack them and go, I guess you're right.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Well,
I'm out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your show.
Sure. Thank you for coming by, Gary.
Bye, everyone. Well, I thought we were covering for you today. I didn't know that you were doing the show today. I thought we were covering.
Yeah,
yesterday.
I was finally able to get my internet back, and it took them a while, but got it back at the 11th hour. So I figured, let's go.
Did the people the guy that came over to fix it? Did he have his own theme song?
There was no guy. They did it remotely, which has really got me kind of crossed on it. It's like, look, guys, seriously, really?
You mean you never had to come here? You could have fixed this remotely all along. Yeah, fuck those people. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Take it easy. Glad to have you back, Keith.
Glad to be back. Hey, Gary, am I going to see you tomorrow? Are you going to be able to come to Tremendicon this weekend?
No, I have no transport. I have no means of getting there. So, yeah, it's just... But I'm looking forward to your reports.
Okay.
Will you jump on?
It's going to be fun.
Will you do live reports?
I'll try, because look, the signal there, it depends. It's almost like, last year we had decent signal, but the year before, the 3 years before that, it was just...
Well, the last time I was there was crap.
Yeah. I'm going to try. So...
Thank you, Lady V. I love you and John. You two are two wonderful people in my life. And I do consider you in my life, not just streaming aspect. So thank you very much. I'm going to get the fuck out of here. I've got, I have nothing to do. I just want to go. Now I got to do some more artwork. And so I will talk to you guys later. Everybody have a great day.
Don't overexert yourself.
And the only thing that's going to exert me is if I have any more chicken. Because seriously, look this up. Look up Ozempic, sulfur burps, General's chicken.
Yeah.
Did not like it. I mean, I ate it like I eat chicken all the time, but then I had chicken for dinner too. And it's like, so I know this isn't just from the one meal. It's because it's like after 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours, that those burps are over. So I have a whole other, and it's because I had chicken for dinner too. I had fried chicken that was oven fried, and so I'm like, oh my God, is this, because chicken's one of my favorite things to eat for protein, and it's like, oh my God, Ozempic, you motherfucker, screwing me out of my fucking chicken, man. So far, look, up to now, Lady V, my blood sugar's been staying normal. But for the last 10 days, I didn't have any Ozempic because my sensor reader, sensors didn't work. And I finally got the sensors, but then I couldn't find my reader. And I'm like, where the fuck's my reader? I couldn't find my reader. So I couldn't do it for the last 4 days. And so I finally took the Ozempic on Monday because Lauren, it's not here right now. She took her phone because she had to go. She put the app on her phone. The app won't work on my phone. For some reason, my Android, even though it's under 2 years old, could not handle that app. So, so while she's gone, I can't get my blood sugar, but I know my blood sugar was around 150 when she left, and I haven't eaten anything.
Yeah, we have Zach
Kyle's here. What's up, buddy? Yeah, fuck you, Kyle.
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
Yeah, like the video said, fuck you, Kyle. But I got to tell you, man, I'm taking double the dose now of Ozempic, and the goal is to get me off of the insulin. And it means I'm probably going to have to take Ozempic the rest of my life. But if it gets me off of insulin, I'm happy to do that, because taking insulin, people don't realize that over time it can do damage to things in your body. And I would like to avoid that. What's it? Oh, what is that? That sounds familiar. This is where the law.
Cobra.
Is that in Cobra? Does he say
I
sucker?
suppose. Maybe not. I don't care. I'm trying to forget that movie, and now I have to watch it again.
You know, the one thing I'm guaranteed every single day of my life is either Anima whining or Martin whining about something. So, yay, me. He said sucker. That's gay. I hate that.
Wow.
That's an R-rated movie. That's an R-rated movie. Yeah. Wow. The thing we learned in that film is he is not very good at delivering quips. He tried to do an Arnold, and Arnold can do it. Arnold's very good at doing quips.
He can do the silent type and long speeches.
Yeah, long speeches or no speech at all, and just action. That's what Stallone is good at. What he's terrible at is quipping. His quips, all the way back to First Blood, are terrible.
Yeah.
And Arnold is just, for some reason, so fucking good at it. You know, throws a machete at the guy in Predator and sticks him to a fucking pillar. He says, "Stick around." Hey, Sally, remember when I told you I would kill you last? Yeah, that's right, Matrix. Said you kill me last. I lied. He's got perfect timing. He's really good. And I believe that, I forgot his name, the director that Ivan Reitman said it. He says, Schwarzenegger has almost perfect comic timing. He really knows when to deliver the punchline to something. And I think that's really cool about Schwarzenegger. And it's sad about Arnold. So, but anyway, Martin, watch Cobra.
Yeah. My vengeance will...
I'm leaving.
My vengeance will be terrible.
Wow. You know, it's always fun having Gary around, especially today. Excuse me, given the subject matter. He and I being basically around the same age. But looking at the time, let me just to go ahead and say this. This weekend, I am headed into year 4 of Tremendicon. And let me just say, for those of you who have been with us for a while, it's that time of year again. And for those that don't know what it is, it's an entire convention built around education and learning. It's an entire event, great guest. You can find more information at tremendicon.com. You can also find Tremendicon on X. You can find Tremendicon at Instagram. You can find Tremendicon on Facebook. and check out, see if you decide to come by and visit Tremendicon. You'll not only see me, but you're also going to see my guest from last week, Ben Reeder, who will also be there. So if you have time this weekend, drop by, check it out, check us out. We're going to have a table there, the official Pop Culture Minefield table that I will be manning. And hopefully you'll get a chance to come by and just say hi and get a chance to even check out Eddie, who was also here on Pop Culture Minefield a few days back. He and the Ghostbusters will be there. I think their booth will be just down from where I am. So it's going to be fun. All kinds of fun. Excuse me. So having said that, I just want to say in ending all of this, this is really just the beginning. Next week, we will start in on the 1970s. And hopefully I can alert you to a few things that you know, some of you out there probably have never seen. There's a lot of good movies, a lot of good books, a lot of really good comics, television shows that made up fandom that eventually got us to where we are right now. And it's great to be able to celebrate and highlight a lot of that which got us to this point in fandom. So join me over the next few weeks this summer. Cab Keith, always looking for new people to join us and have fun with us. Remember, if you liked what we had today and like some of the things that we were able to share, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and make sure you hit the bell notification. And just, you know, if you have any questions, go ahead, just send them to us, and we'll try to get to them next week. So let me just say thank you today to Lord Thoth, and Mephisto's Movie Reviews, and El Cortez, and James Caserta, Lindsay, Cynical Geek, Gambit, 1987, Lady V, because she's cool like that, Anima Confusa, because she's really cool like that, Kingsport Call, he's cool like that, Mr. Tom Baker, Ostens, Eastland Burkholder, our good friend Paulie at Latino Slant, Real Popcorn Geek, Lady Penny, and Andy Morrow. And, of course, let's not forget all of you out there. Well, on behalf of all of us at Pop Culture Minefield, Gary, Martin, and definitely myself, thank you for joining us today, and have a good weekend.
See you, everybody.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Thank you.